And well, we're back live streaming again, and it's a Sunday. Well, it's Sunday in on the East Coast. It's already Monday here in Christchurch, New Zealand. I'm so glad that you joined us. My name is Christopher Elliott. I am a consumer advocate, journalist, travel troubleshooter, travel troublemaker. And where in the world are you? Let me know. I would love to know where you are watching me right now. I've got lots going on. We have plenty to talk about. I know that I teased that we were going to have this live stream starting at 7 p.m. Eastern time, and it's about 10 minutes late. I'll explain later, but anyway, we're here now. I'm really happy that you're with me because today we are going to talk about the situation with ride sharing, because ride sharing has been an issue for a really long time. I've written some guides on ride sharing, and I've just updated our. Oh, there you are, Frank. Appreciate it. Frank says he's in Connecticut, and we've got someone else. Diego, good night. Diego, what time is it over there? Darius is in Dallas. Hey, Darius, how are you? Glad you joined us. These live streams are a very inexact science. We really, there's so many gadgets that I have to get working for this. It's crazy. I had my son down here trying to help me figure out the camera on this, but it's been a little bit crazy so far. Diego is in Brazil. All right. Awesome. I think Brazil is one of the places that I'm hoping to visit in the next couple of months. So I guess boa sorte, I guess they would say. Good luck getting there. Let's see. Ken is in, where are you, Ken? In Greenhouse, Albany, New York. I'm sorry, Greenhouse is your last name. Sorry, Ken. Albany, New York, which you probably are having a lovely spring there right now. How's the weather over there? Here in Christchurch, New Zealand, I'll tell you right now, the weather has been kind of weird. We wake up every morning and it's cloudy and overcast, and then it's a little bit like Southern California, where the weather gets better as the day goes on, and so the clouds burn off and you have a nice blue sky. So today we're probably going to have kind of normal weather. By normal, I mean it's going to be, maybe 18, 19 degrees Celsius, and so not too cold. But this morning it was like Europe in November. Yuck. Anyway, so the question that I have for you guys is, when was the last rideshare ride that you took, so an Uber or Lyft? And also, have you ever been banned or received a warning from one of the ride sharing companies? Or do you know someone who has been banned or received a warning from one of the ride share companies? Well, one of the stories that I've done in the recent past, and I've done a couple of these, is on the Lyft vomit scam, which is a huge thing. And basically what the Lyft vomit scam is people will get into a Lyft. That's the Lyft, the rideshare, so Lyft. And then they'll finish the ride, leave, and then they'll get an email suddenly from Lyft saying, you soiled the back seat of your rideshare and you owe us, usually it was $70, $80, sometimes more, sometimes it's $150. And if you don't pay, then you're going to be banned from Lyft forever. So have you ever experienced that yourself? Do you know someone who has? And the reason that I'm asking is that I actually have updated my guide on ride sharing today, because I've got a really huge story coming out tomorrow. And it's about a guy who was banned as a rider from Uber. And it is probably it's the weirdest case that I've ever experienced in my life. I mean, I've had some crazy rideshare cases, but this one it absolutely takes the cake. Jorge is in Los Cabos. Okay, yes, Jorge is in Los Cabos. Excellent. Glad to have you here, Jorge. Tell me, have you taken a rideshare recently? Love to know. And What do you think, by the way, the difference between Uber and Lyft? Do you use both? Do you either? And I know that in some countries, you don't have, obviously, Ubers sometimes are not allowed in some countries. I remember when I was in Barcelona a couple of years ago, they did not have Ubers. They do now, but before that, the only way to get around was in a taxi. So, do you have a preference between Lyft or Uber? Would love to know about that. So let's see here. We've got a couple of things going on here. Even more, the chatters are coming in. We've got another LinkedIn user from Indiana. That's Indiana, not India. Because we have some LinkedIn users from India too. We've got uh, Narendra from Virginia. Wow, this is awesome. I love this. I love talking to you guys here. It's so much fun. All right. Maybe I should get to my ultimate guide because I want to focus on one thing here. Let me do a screen share with you. And that is, let's see here. How do I even do this? I have too many tabs open. I just have way too many tabs open. And so as a result, I don't know where do I even, okay. Where's my tab? Where's my tab? Hello, tab. I can't find you. Okay, this is definitely a case study in if you have too many tabs open, you're never going to be able to find them on, uh, yeah, let's just go over here and do this. Yeah, that's much easier. Just going to share the entire screen with you. Okay, so here we go. Ultimate guide on passengers. Can everyone see that? And I wanted to focus just on, this is from my site and it just went live today, but I have the things that can get you banned from a ride share. These are things that maybe people are not really aware of. This is quite a long story here, but I have things that can get you banned. So, okay, here we go. These are the things that we know can get you banned from Uber or Lyft. First of all, damaging the vehicle. That is to say, leaving trash, spilling a drink, smoking, causing intentional or unintentional damage to the exterior or the interior of the vehicle. We know that if you trash one of the ride-sharing cars, it could get you banned. That's actually pretty obvious. Doing something illegal. Okay, I had someone actually who was a victim, whose mother was the victim of a grandma scam. I don't know if you know what a grandma scam is, but that's basically when someone says my calls and says, "Grandma, I'm in trouble. Can you wire money?" And then actually, what happened was the scammers used a ride share that would pick up the person, take them to the bank to do the wire transfer. So of course, if one of the ride sharing companies finds out about that, then you're going to get banned, and with good reason. Getting high or getting drunk is another reason. Some people will get into a rideshare vehicle when they've had a couple. That's different than drinking. So an open container is not allowed. Getting high is also, you can't really tell if someone's high necessarily when they get into an Uber or into a Lyft. But if they start like doing drugs in the car, like shooting up, that's something where if the driver sees you, they'll definitely they'll report you and you can get yourself banned for doing that. Also, just definitely not a good idea. Assaulting your driver. People think that they have to actually make physical contact with the driver. That is not true. You actually, obviously, making physical contact with the driver is going to get you banned forever. But if you just act abusive, if you start yelling at the driver, then or flinging epithets at the driver, then that also could lead to the very least a suspension, but probably you'll be banned as well. And then the other thing that we know is taking your gun along for the ride. At least on Uber, if you try to bring a gun on your person or put it in the back in the trunk, that is a bannable offense, and so you may find yourself. the next time you try to hail a ride, it's saying, sorry, you're not allowed. And the terrible thing about that is that they would not tell you if you were banned, they wouldn't tell you why. I realize now, of course, that I didn't share my screen, which is just so stupid. This technology really sucks. Um, we have a couple more chatters here. Someone from Venezuela. I love it. We got people from everywhere. Hello. Buenos dias from Venezuela. Good to see you. We've got someone else saying, I agree. I don't know what you're agreeing with here, but you can agree with anything that I say, obviously. I love that. We have someone else coming in from Mexico. Wow, it is a really international audience. That is so cool. Love it, love it, love it. So, do you know anyone who has been banned from one of the ride-sharing companies? I know lots of people. We get cases just about every week from someone who has been banned, and we try to help them out. And the problem with being banned from a ride-sharing company is it's a lot like being banned from Uber, I should say Airbnb. So being banned from Uber or Lyft is like being banned from Airbnb. It is the process itself is a black box. No one knows why they've been banned. They will not tell them. All we know is, and it's really unfortunate. We know what's in the terms for Lyft and Uber, but we don't know like how exactly the banning process works. You get reported. Is there an appeals process? We know that there is an appeals process for drivers, not riders, for drivers who are banned. And it's actually a human-led appeals process. We do not know if that same process applies to riders. We do know, and when I say we, I mean like the consumer advocates that I work with, we know that the process itself is fairly automated, which is to say, if someone reports you, or if there's something maybe a driver reports you, or another rider reports you, or someone reports you, or they find something, they run a criminal background check. We know that Airbnb does that, and you get banned. They may not even tell you until, sometimes you don't find out until, as we'll see tomorrow, you don't find out until you actually are trying to hail another ride share, which is just absolutely terrible. Like, imagine that you're stuck somewhere and you're trying to hail an Uber and you can't get there because they won't pick you up. And that brings me to actually one really important thing, and that is if you are going to hail a ride share, make sure that your account, especially if it's an account maybe you haven't used for a while, make sure that you fire it up and see if it's still active. Because one of the things that I've seen is people will actually try to, maybe they haven't used their account for a while. If you don't use your account for a while, we do know that accounts get suspended. And then, unfortunately, once it's suspended, even if it's wrongfully suspended, it's really difficult to get the account back. So anyone out there let's talk a little bit about what ride sharing is doing to people and how it's affecting tourism economies. Has anyone given up riding in a taxi or mass transit for ride sharing? I can tell you that I use Uber an awful lot, and I don't really use Lyft that much, but it's awfully tempting. It's very cost effective to use, but it's destroyed apparently a lot of livelihoods. People who used to drive taxis, and it's really kind of an unfortunate thing. So if anyone has any opinions on that, please let me know. And chatters, I am here listening. I'm watching your comments coming in, so let me have it. We can always come back to this topic, but let's see. I've got a couple of other things that I wanted to talk about. Oh, yes, the Vantage situation. So I know that a lot of you are interested in what's going on with Vantage, and I will give you a little bit of a backgrounder on that. we're talking about 2 weeks ago now that the Vantage travel website went down. Vantage sells high-end cruises and tours, places like Europe, Asia Pacific, and they're actually very nice. I've been on one, and lately we have been getting a lot of complaints about people who, unfortunately, were owed money by Vantage, and they've been very slow to pay out. Now, to make matters worse, Vantage has the Vantage site went down and it stopped answering its phones about 2 weeks ago. So there's a lot of speculation about possibly the site, about not just the site, but the entire company possibly going out of business. And people were obviously very scared that that would happen. They were afraid not only that their upcoming trips would not take place, but that they would never get a refund for the money that they had paid. So last night I got an email from, let me see if I can share my screen this time. Let's see if it works now. Um, Not there. Where is my screen share? No, not that one either. Okay. So here we go. Email from the general counsel at yeah, I got an email from the general counsel of Vantage saying this is after I had emailed her 5 or 6 times last week, saying I apologize for my delayed response as we were all working on getting our systems back up and running. She says I gained access to my Vantage email late yesterday, and then please send any future correspondence. I don't mind doing that email address because it's pretty much it's out there, it's public record. I wanted to make sure you saw our recent update. See link below, and that link takes you to the website for Vantage where they have the same information that we went over yesterday. Any future updates will be provided on our website, which I take to mean I'm not going to answer your questions. That did not stop me, though, from asking. I said, I saw the post, yes. I said, you'd email me from your personal account before, and I've been calling and emailing. Actually, the attorney had actually given me her cell phone number, so I thought, well, maybe if I call the cell phone number, I'll be able to get an answer. As you can probably imagine, I said, there are a lot of very worried customers here who are afraid their cruises will be canceled or have already been canceled, because sometimes people don't really find out until it's too late. Also, there are customers who are owed refunds who are concerned about the company's ability to pay them. So I said, customers have asked me if the cancellations are limited to the sailings mentioned on the site and whether any other cancellations are planned. And those who are owed refunds have asked me for some assurances that their money will be promptly refunded. Could you please address those issues? I sent that email last night, so 17 hours ago, and as you can probably guess, I have not received a response to that, unfortunately. So, I don't know. I don't even know what to make of this. If you have a Vantage cruise, you're stuck between a rock and a hard place here because you've already paid, in many cases you've already paid the money for your cruise and you've got your flights. So you want to go obviously on this cruise, but you're not sure if it's actually going to leave. And the question is, what do you do? Now, I've asked my friend James Walker, who runs a blog he's a maritime attorney and he runs a cruise blog, if he can come on the show and maybe talk a little about whatever this is and talk a little bit about that. But I have not heard back. It was over a weekend, so sometimes some people take weekends off. And my sense is that you really don't have much of a choice now other than just to ride this thing out and see if they're actually going to be running the cruise. It's not an ideal situation, obviously. And if there is a way to get out of it now, I would do that. What I mean by that is if you are still within the cancellation window, then this would be a good time maybe to think about taking a different vacation. I would not, if you can get out of it, I would not wait to see what happens. And the reason why is there's just so much uncertainty right now that even though we're getting assurances now that Vantage is back up and running, that I I have my doubts about this. I really do. Usually, if everything was okay, I would have gotten an email by now from my contacts on the inside and from the general counsel saying, yes, this was just a big misunderstanding and we're back up and running. We're financially solvent. We're paying out our refunds. We're going to accelerate the process. Everything is fine. But I'm not getting any of those assurances from anyone. And that makes me very, very concerned because if if things continue down this road and if there's more cancellations, and remember that a couple of weeks ago, we also heard from someone who is a vendor for Vantage and said he hadn't been paid. So if all these things start to kind of snowball, then we could see something really terrible happen, like complete cessation of business. Now I would say this is something that no one wants. Least of all me. I want everyone to be able to go on their cruises and have a good time. But uh, with the way that things are being handled now, I think that there's the likelihood of that just appears to be increasing. And I just am basing that on all the things that have happened, all the emails that we've received, all of the emails that we haven't received too. Remember, I've been trying to communicate with Vantage for the last couple of weeks, and they're just not really being very responsive right now. Now, not saying anything doesn't necessarily mean something is wrong, but you would expect, if everything is right, you would expect them to say something. So I don't know if that makes very much sense. Well, we have another email here from a LinkedIn user saying that it's better than the older taxi service. We're talking about ride sharing. Yeah, I totally agree with you that taxis, not to switch subjects here too much, but I agree that the way that taxis were run it was all for the benefit of the taxi drivers. And I mean, look, I've met some very nice taxi drivers. I don't want to, offend them, but the way that the pricing structure worked and the way that, it wasn't very consumer friendly, and I think that taxi services have actually gotten much more consumer friendly. Now they use apps and they will pick you up, anywhere you want to be picked up, and their rates are a little bit more flexible and better. Still have a ways to go. I mean, if you think about it, in places like New York City, the taxis kind of had a corner on that market, and the medallions cost a fortune, a small fortune. And now you have ride sharing services that have brought prices down and made things much more reasonable. And I think that that's a good thing. I don't think that having a monopoly is ever a good thing. I mean, I could talk about monopolies for a long, long time. The travel industry is filled with crazy monopolies. I mean, if you look at airlines, and if you look at especially airlines in the United States, but not necessarily just in the United States, you see so many monopolies. I mean, the airline industry is in itself a monopoly, but even in other businesses like hotels or rental cars, you also see only a few small competitors, not a lot of competition in the marketplace. And what happens when you don't have a lot of competition is that prices go up, and then and consumer choices go down, and it really becomes a not a very competitive marketplace, and not the kind of marketplace that we would want to do business in. So what do you do to make things better? I mean, I think personally, I think the government does have a role to play. The government can, for example, stop greenlighting all of these airline mergers, because when it says, yeah, you can, US Airways and American Airlines, you're allowed to merge, then hey, guess what? You have one giant airline that then starts to do some consolidation. It says, well, we don't need all these office buildings. We don't need all these routes. And next thing you know, you have one mega airline that is just raising prices. And so it's bringing value to shareholders, but not necessarily to consumers. I don't know what this one here is. Douala, Cameroon. Oh, this is a place. Very cool. Cameroon. That is so awesome. I love the fact that this is a truly global thing that we're doing here. And I think that I love talking to people around the world. So I'm really very happy to be here with all of you guys. So a question for you, now that we're on the subject of monopolies, Are there any monopolies in the travel industry that particularly vex you? Things that you strongly dislike because maybe prices are higher or the service isn't so good? Are you mad at airlines? Are you mad at hotels? Are you mad at car rental companies? Car rental companies, there's really only three in the United States, three major car rental companies, which is crazy. No wonder prices are so high because there's very little competition in the marketplace. Not quite as bad as airlines, because in the airline industry, you have these fortress hubs where you have one or two major dominant carriers, and they basically set all the prices, and everyone else just has to follow them. So that's something that really I find very upsetting. We have Matt. Hey, Matt, how are you? Car rentals, the rates are getting out of hand. No kidding. And it wasn't, everyone said last year that it was car rental shortages that they were experiencing, and rates went through the roof. But now, even though the car rental shortage has abated, so there's plenty of cars, there's no issues with replenishing the fleet, car rental rates are still high. So what's going on? Well, you've got consolidation in the marketplace. You got, Hertz and Avis and Enterprise that between the three of them, they have a commanding market share. I don't know what it is. Maybe someone out there has the statistic on it, but it's if you take those three, that's, I would imagine, 80-90% of the marketplace, and then the rest is just smaller players. I don't know. It's just a guesstimate. So when you are looking for a rental car at an airport somewhere, or I don't know, and you see all the rates being extremely high, you have to ask yourself, how much competition is there really? And one of my favorite tips is to get away from the airport and maybe go to an off-airport location, because at the airport, prices are usually much, much higher. And then you have all those airport fees that they add to your rental, and taxes for building a new stadium and all that, which is just crazy. How about you guys out there, chatters? Are there any industries where you are not happy because of monopoly pricing? I would love to know that. That's what we're talking about right now. And then, back to the Vantage situation here. Now, Vantage was not a monopoly. It was not anywhere close to a monopoly. There's a lot of cruise lines. But if you look at the cruise industry just in general, you will see that there are fewer and fewer players, especially now that the pandemic is kind of wrapped up. We've had a couple of bankruptcies. We may see some more bankruptcies. But what we're seeing much more is now one giant cruise line owning a lot of different smaller cruise lines, and they're all part of like the Carnival family or the NCL family, whatever. And so this is when you have one company that owns so much, that can also have an effect on pricing. I have never seen a study on monopoly pricing in the cruise industry, but I would love to at some point see if maybe someone has done something like that. So, all right, you know what? I'm going to wrap things up here. I think that my chatters have punished me for starting late, and I am so sorry about that. But I'm glad that you joined me. And again, real sorry about the technical glitches. I will try to start on time. I think I'll just do on tomorrow. I don't know. And we're going to have a lot to talk about, because I got the big blockbuster story that's coming out about the guy who was banned from Uber. You are not going to believe this article that I have. So that's going up tomorrow. And then I have, of course, the ultimate guide to renting a car, or to listen to me. I'm not renting a car, to doing a ride share. I have not had my caffeine. I should probably have more caffeine now that I think about it. But I have the ultimate guide to a ride share that's up today on the site. And then also don't forget to check out our podcast. We had a podcast from Christchurch, New Zealand about hiking. So the boys and I did a really cool podcast. You can find that at elliottconfidential.com. And yeah, so I hope you have a really great rest of the Sunday. I got a note here from someone saying, sorry, couldn't tune in, Christopher, because of the playoffs in Boston. So yeah, well, you gotta do what you gotta do. So the playoffs are going on in Boston tonight. Anyway, Oh, wait, maybe someone did decide to come in. Matt, thank you. Yes, I'm gonna go get my caffeine now. Thanks so much. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. I don't even know what this is called, like office hours with Chris or something like that. But anyway, we'll have more tomorrow. All right. Thanks. Talk to you soon.